What's going on, PBDO? Oh, you saw that tweet we sent about how much we like the new silent load lifting droid unit, huh?
Look, it's nothing personal, PBDO. We just really like the new character.
Yeah, it's great, because his actions actually speak louder than words, PBDO.
I get it. Yeah, you can do both. That's cool. Well, you got the keys to the cargo bay, PBDO, so I guess we can't get rid of you. It's kind of your job. So would you open up the cargo bay doors? We got to talk about episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Showbie.
Let's do it. And welcome to the Cargo Bay, a Star Wars conversation podcast being transmitted to you from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I am Brady C, here with my co-host, as always,
Adam B. That's me. And hey, if you're listening to us, if you're watching us, whatever you're doing, thank you so much for joining us here in the Cargo Bay. You know what? And if you're listening, why not check out our YouTube? And if you're on YouTube, why not check out podcast? We're at the Cargo Bay Pod anywhere. You can just search the Cargo Bay on your favorite podcatcher. I think we're most places now, BC.
Yeah, weren't we on the top of the charts the other day?
That's right.
On everyone's, I think we were at the top of everyone's homepage. So
that's right. My mommy printed out a little chart, and we were number one on our favorite podcast.
And you CC'd me on that chart, so I appreciated that. We were number one. Very, very nice. Very exciting. So I was gonna ask you how you're doing. I just got all flustered after we recorded our cold open just now because I clicked on the wrong thing on this screen. And it was funny because we're recording a podcast about Obi-Wan Kenobi starring Ewan McGregor, and my Apple TV popped up, and it was Ewan McGregor from The Long Way Up, his motorcycle docuseries, and it startled me, and I was flustered because I was like, wait. Where did you go? I need to see you so I can record this, but I'm back now. I think I've got all my screens settled here. I think we're going. I think we're moving in the right direction.
We got a lot of moving parts here in the Cargo Bay. It's a technical symphony over here. But hey, if you haven't watched that motorcycle documentary, any of them, about Ewan and his buddies' trips around the globe on motorcycles, they're pretty good. I enjoy those things.
It's a strong recommend for me, honestly. I really like them.
Yeah, me too.
Long way round, down, and up. We've got from Ewan and his buddy Charlie.
I have not seen Up, so I got to see Long Way Up.
Up is fun because they do it on electric bikes. And
that's right.
Infrastructure is not where you would want it to be for a long motorcycle journey. So they struggle a little bit, but they find the groove eventually until they get stuck in Mexico.
Brady, can I divert from the pod here or the normal course of the pod here just a little bit to
permission granted. Yeah, absolutely.
To go off-roading myself a bit here. Yeah. I just feel like we should make it clear in light of more people being, and by the way, I'm going to use curse words here for a bit. So if you want to plug your ears, you can do that. You can protect yourself. But yeah, the worst thing about being a Star Wars fan, and there's a lot of bad stuff about being a Star Wars fan, but definitely the worst is being embarrassed and sometimes being considered a part of a bunch of, racist and or sexist and or generally bigoted assholes. And yeah, get out of here. not
Gone
fans.
Gone get. Yeah, all of the sad, because obviously we're talking about Moses Ingram and some of the blowback from seems like a vocal minority of Star Wars fans, and some of the dumb shit that they've said has been brought to light, and it is embarrassing because you look at what these people are saying and doing, and you just go, you have no place here. We don't want to platform your voice. We don't respect anything you have to say about this. It was disturbing, but not surprising in light of other things that have happened in the past with Star Wars. We talked extensively whenever we recorded our Rise of Skywalker episode, which should be releasing sometime, where we discussed the treatment of Rose Tico that was horrific by the Star Wars fan community, and we see it happening again. So we just want to denounce any and all bigoted assholes who might have any of those sympathetic leanings towards some of those stupid ideas and say, you're not welcome in the cargo bay. We're going to open the shootout back and send you out with the space garbage. So, bye-bye if that's you. If that's not you, welcome into a safe space where we love to talk about Star Wars and generally enjoy the content that we get to consume.
Yeah, I just can't imagine. I watched a lot of the press leading up to this show, and you could almost like feel kind of the nerves on Moses Ingram, oh boy, here, what am I getting into here? There's definitely like a timidness that's not there for Ewan and Hayden, or any of the white members of the cast. And it's just really frustrating to think like, oh man, one of the difficulties of drawing talent to Star Wars might be, hey, you might have to deal with terrible racism, from our fan base. It's gross. It sucks. And so, it stinks to be associated with those people, though I do hope they are, like you said, a vocal minority there, BC. In any case,
you and McGregor recorded a great message where, he said, we stand with her, and in general, not just in Star Wars, but in the world, there's no room for this shit. So let's get the fuck over it and knock it off, people.
Yeah, that's disintegration's allowed. That's my take.
Disintegration's absolutely allowed. The meme that I saw you liked yesterday on the Cargo Bay Pod Twitter account of the gatekeeping with Han Solo.
Yeah.
And then gatekeeping racist with the thumbs up, I thought was great. So,
yes, it's appropriate.
Let's continue to resist that vocal minority and smash them down.
Yeah, get out of here. Get out the cargo bay. Go on to your pitiful little life.
Go and get.
But yeah, with that out of the way, I guess the only other bit of business here is, hey, we got a giveaway going. We're going to have another giveaway coming up. There's some cool stuff we're giving away. Check out our socials for more information on that. We'll be posting on Twitter, Instagram about that. And I'm going to go ahead and throw out the secret code now, PC. If you want an extra entry for this, not the PSA graded Obi-Wan sticker, this is for our next giveaway, which we haven't announced yet. But anyway, the secret code for this giveaway is Moleman. So if you comment on our YouTube video, if you send us an email, both of those count as separate entries. So yeah, check that out. And that's all I got here at the top.
I mean, here's the last thing I have at the top. Major spoiler warning for Moleman, because we're about to get into the recap here, as we will get to our Moleman shortly. But general programming warning: if you haven't watched Kenobi episode 3 at this point, stop, turn around, go back, watch it, pause, don't play anymore. We are about to spoil this episode as we talk about what went on in episode 3 of Kenobi.
This is where, if we were a big famous podcast, PC, we'd have this ad flying in right now.
Yeah. And make sure to check out Low Dump's subscription service, too.
That's right.
Mailed right to you, fresh and daily.
Now in powder form. No more soggy boxes.
Yeah, one day he'll actually pay us for those ad reads, like he said he would, but until he does, no free ad reads, Low Dump.
Except for that one we just did.
Yeah, except for the one we just did. All right, so let's jump into part 3. I guess we don't call these episodes, we call them parts.
Yeah.
We're on part 3. Pardon my crass language of calling this an episode.
Yeah, no. This is a form higher than episodes.
We've elevated past television here, folks. This is a part.
I think part 3
of 6
is the Moleman. That was the third part they cast.
We need Zach Braff as the Moleman. I hope he was in the suit too.
Yeah, I hope so.
Just an animatronic
just tons
mouth
of cables, just metal cables to pull those little nostril flaps.
Yeah. So we'll. Again, spoilers. We haven't even got there. Let's start at the beginning. We open with Obi-Wan on what I must say, nice looking cargo ship, and this is coming from cargo ship experts.
That's right.
He's meditating, trying to reach Master Qui-Gon. He's using the Force telephone, trying to reach out to Qui-Gon. No answers. As this is going on, we're cutting to Vader being removed from his Bacta.
Yeah.
And we get Obi-Wan saying, "He's coming, Master."
Yeah.
Then we are going to go to the beautiful rivers of Mustafar, where we're at. Yeah.
How'd this opening sequence go for you, BC? It's a little, at least on a big TV, it looks a little cheesy. It looks a little, I don't know. There's a visual fidelity there where it's like, oh, they cranked this thing out a little faster than they should have, maybe.
I think I was maybe too tired to notice, if I'm being honest. But there will be other moments of visual fidelity that are worth noting for me.
Let me say one thing up top about my experience watching this episode. There's a lot of points in this episode where it loses me, where I'm like, what are you doing? And then immediately I'm like, oh, whoa. And starting out here where I'm like, I don't know if this is hitting me as heavily as some of the other flashback, connection stuff they've done. And then immediately it's like Vader's castle, baby. You're okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just like jumping into the episode is like, okay, I remember he just said Anakin, we cut to Vader, now we've got the meditation. Like, it's fine. It's fine. We go to Mustafar at Castle Vader, and we get a little conversation where Vader's like, hey, where is he? He's saying the Grand Inquisitor means nothing, Kenobi. He's all that matters now.
He's sitting in a very tight throne. His legs are like pinned together in the front. I don't know if you noticed this, but it was kind of funny to me. He's like squeezed into his throne seat.
He still hasn't quite upgraded his seating. Not unlike myself, I need a new chair here. I get it.
It's relatable.
That's a plight that I'm familiar with. You just can be like, I'm comfortable with what I know. I'm not ready to invest in a new throne at the moment. He tells the third sister that he's been watching her, and he knows what she seeks. What could it be?
Yeah.
He says, prove yourself, and the position of Grand Inquisitor is yours. Fail me, and you will not live to regret it. And of course, these beautiful dulcet tones are coming out of the mouth of James Earl Jones. Always a pleasure.
Okay, so this is confirmed.
OG Vader back.
James Earl Jones.
Oh,
confirmed.
You know what? I don't know.
I thought, man, they really got a robot voice. They got the Vader voice changer down.
I thought it was him.
I didn't even look because I assumed they did not involve him with this.
Let's hold this entire recording of the podcast so I can go and do some quick research.
Stopping down.
I should have done. James Earl Jones. Kenobi.
Okay, maybe I'll do an edit here.
Yeah, he's the voice of Darth Vader.
Okay, all right.
Finished. Yeah.
Well, that makes me feel better about it, man. I'm glad.
This is the sort of live confirmation that you get with us, as opposed to some of those big name podcasts out there. Confirmed. It's the voice of James Earl Jones. So fantastic to hear him.
Yeah.
We've got some more intrigue just going on with the third sister.
Yeah, she
exactly what her motives are.
It's clear it's not being the Grand Inquisitor. That's not her end goal.
What do you mean? It seems so obvious right now that that's what you want. You mean there might be another twist or turn in the plot?
Yeah.
Yeah, methinks there is, and we will see that in the coming weeks. Then we're gonna go from Vader.
Vader stands up, and they've just got there's a lot of like tiny bits of footage I would just cut out of this thing. And the first one is when he stands up from that chair, and it's just kind of like a medium shot of his crotch as he like gingerly stands up. It's like you're looking.
I think the episode collapses without the crotch shot myself, but that's just me. That's one man's opinion. So we go from the crotch shot to a little Leia, a little Ben Kenobi. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? You know, like a kid would do. And she asks him how the Force works at a certain point, which, you know, as a Force-sensitive child, would naturally be curious. And we get a little Force insight into how it feels. What does it feel like, she asks him, and he says, do you know how you feel when you're in the dark? Well, how does it feel when you turn on the light? Safe, she says. Yes, it feels like that.
And we're getting this because he's been cut off from the Force, and he's now returning to it, and he's like, oh, I feel at home and safe again. It's nice.
I don't even think he feels... Yes, I think he's still in the foyer of the home, the safety that he's got here, because he's still struggling with it, as we'll get to a little bit later. Obi has... he's fixed Lola for Leia. Very nice of him. Always kind of a handy man. We get the cargo ship.
This screwdriver is a real... I love seeing just plain regular props in Star Wars in this. And what I mean is I don't like seeing it. But this is like, you know, as if the production team or someone involved hasn't seen a new screwdriver in like 10 years. And they're like, that one looks sci-fi. And it's like, no, actually, that's what all screwdrivers and Allen wrenches look like now. But yeah, Obi-Wan's cranking away with his earthly screwdriver.
It's clear that some tools just transcend space and time.
Yeah,
like
ladders,
the screwdriver.
Shovels, screwdrivers.
Hammers. Yeah, the basics, yeah. Obi-Wan with his camp shovel from the last episode.
Never shoelaces.
Episode. I gotta remove episode.
Get it out.
From my mouth.
No, not
what am I doing?
We're in parts.
Part one. Yeah, part one, he's got that nice camp shovel for digging up his lightsaber. Here we've got the screwdriver. So who knows what we'll see next? Maybe some kind of bandsaw. The ship lands on the mining system of Mapuzo, which is a fun name and really fun to say out loud. There is a clear stormtrooper, an Imperial presence on Mapuzo.
Yeah, they're everywhere. They're just stormtroopers everywhere.
Yeah, a lot of stormtroopers there on this, I guess, once important mining outpost.
Which is, I think, the Verdugo Mountains, where I used to run. This is very SoCal looking. This is like, we're right outside Los Angeles here shooting.
Yeah. Were those Joshua trees that we're seeing in this episode?
I don't know. Could be. I guess it could be all the way out in Joshua Tree. I don't know.
Had a distinct kind of foliage look there, but I'm sure it's not too far from the Los Angeles area, wherever they went to shoot some of these exteriors.
To the point where you even have like the haze in the air from the city, I believe. It's
the like, beautiful smog. Yeah. We get, you know, they've exited the cargo ship. They're gonna go on to Mapuzo. The haul, the cargo is being unloaded. This is where we get the first introduction to just a great silent load lifting droid. Fantastic character. We love him. His work is fantastic.
We wish we had more silent droids in our life.
Silently goes about doing that work, which is fantastic. So they're able to sort of sneak past him as they're making their way to the point that was given to them in the previous episode by Haja, played by Kumail Nanjiani. And as they're getting there, we get kind of, you know, Obi-Wan still not feeling very trustworthy of the world. He tells Leia that not all people are good. Kind of snaps at her, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
She's a very positive young person on this adventure. And then we get a moment, and I think this is kind of interesting, where they start talking about the Empire, and Leia says, I thought the Empire was supposed to be helping us. And then Obi-Wan says, there are some like your dad who are trying to, but it seems like a losing battle these days, which I think is interesting that we're still in kind of that Empire propaganda era of like, hey, the Empire is good for you, and it's not being run by Sith Lords.
Yeah.
Which is important to remember, I think, about this era of Star Wars, is that the Jedi were bad and that the Empire was rising as a pure good. They hadn't quite got out the planet-killing weapon at this point yet.
Yeah.
So
the Senate is still functioning. There's still politicians who think they can play it for, cooperate and get some good out of it. But clearly, so stormtroopers are just thick as flies everywhere. I don't know why we need so many on this planet, but this is where Haja sent them. It's like, go to Stormtrooper Town and walk down a little desert path.
And on the desert path, we get a cloaked figure in the distance.
I like this part a lot.
Yeah. It's a little like foreshadowy, right? Is this Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker in the distance?
Yeah.
With the classic Revenge of the Sith OTS look that we've got there?
Yeah. This is a point again, this whole walking down the road scene, I've been like, oof, this is not for me. I don't feel like it's played very well. It just feels, a lot of it feels forced to me. And then we get like weird visions of the devil in the desert, and the devil is Hayden Christensen. And I like it.
Yeah, super awesome. The super I meant on that one too.
Yeah,
because I was like, what? Oh yeah. so we've got that as we are taking a walk down a road, and then we're gonna go to the third sister, who arrives on the Inquisitor base, which is footage that was in some of the previews. So
yeah, there were a couple
shots
yeah,
that were previously released.
I love the long walk into the Inquisitor base. Cool stuff.
Oh, it's a buzz with Imperial activity, which is cool. Very smooth surfaces.
Yeah,
very Imperial.
And they're
very
underwater
nice. Love to see it.
in the main chamber. It seems like, yeah.
Ooh,
there's like green out the windows. I think they're under the sea.
Nice,
cool.
Yeah. It's like just a huge pyramid in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Good location for a base.
You know what? That is in Fallen Order. It is that the Inquisitor base is on Fallen Order. So I could remember the name of that planet, but I don't right now. Sorry.
Again, if we were better at podcasting, we would do research for you all. But here's where I'm going to say, just do it yourselves. It's out there. You can find that information. If the name of the planet is that important to you, it's out there. So there you go. But we do appreciate you being here. Listen, disclaimer. I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning to watch this episode and record this reaction for you people. So if I don't have the name of the Inquisitor planet, I'm sorry.
We're doing this early. Last time we stopped down to find something out, it was a little longer than we expected.
Yeah. So we learned and we moved on. Failure, one of the great teachers, as we well know from Star Wars. So let's okay, just had to check to make sure I'm still recording. Had one of those moments of fear that we had last week. We're still good. So we're on this beautiful planet. We're going to have a little more Inquisitor conflict here, where not only was the third sister beefing with the Grand Inquisitor, she's also beefing pretty hard with the fifth brother, who's made his intentions very clear that, hey, I want that Grand Inquisitor position as well. It's got great benefits, good dental, vision, 401k. I'm the next Grand Inquisitor, okay?
Hard things to come by these days in the
very
galaxy.
hard things to come by, and especially if you've got those razor teeth. There's the dental work on those can be challenging.
A lot of upkeep.
You got to find someone in network too, which is hard.
Yeah, because the Sith, the Empire's care plan. Yeah, it's a really small network.
A very, very small network. They haven't expanded the Imperial network quite to the extent. Again, early days of the Empire. Reva tells the fifth brother that Vader has asked her to lead the hunt for Kenobi, to which he replies, "You spoke to him yourself?" Because at this point, too, in the timeline, Vader is like a pretty shadowy figure. He's not like known as being a Sith Lord. And it's like, oh, there's this mysterious dude who's basically the right hand of the Emperor that no one really talks about. He doesn't have a rank. We just call him Lord Vader.
Yeah, wouldn't be good for PR right now. They're still
not a great look to have the right hand of the Emperor be a former Jedi.
Yeah.
So we get a little more insight to kind of where we are generally in the Empire and kind of the status and the standing of Vader there. And then Reva's the fifth brother says, "I will get what I deserve, third sister, and so will you." To which she replies, "I hope so. I certainly hope so." Again, more of this teasing out of what is it that she's really after? Is it just the dental and the health insurance policies of being Grand Inquisitor, or is it maybe something a little bit more?
What if she wants Grogu?
And who doesn't? she wants those coordinates for Grogu. And then after they have that little exchange, we get some probe droids being sent out, so we get to see that process of them being
I don't know
blasted.
that I love them being blasted out of the top of the pyramid. Like, it puts a lot of emphasis on those droids. And also, like, it's weird to see tech that isn't upgraded at all. I guess we've got protocol droids have been around forever. Droids, they update slowly, you know? The universe.
To me, it was graphically sexual, and I didn't like it.
So we are prudes here in the cargo bay.
Famously.
Big time mega prudes. We don't like anything that resembles...
we'll stop there. Obi and Leia arrive at the coordinates from Haja, and there's no one there. Maybe they're just late, Leia says, and Obi-Wan's like, no, should have trusted him. No one is coming here. This is all bad. It's bad news. But luckily, and we've got the Moleman coming down the road. Freck, as it turns out, is going to be driving down. To which Leia says, he seems friendly. So Leia takes the lead on this one, despite being told that, hey, you don't talk.
Yeah. Yeah, well...
she's all over it.
What's your reaction to Moleman from a creature design perspective? Do you like it when Star Wars just takes earthly things and makes them into humanoids?
I have no feelings about the Moleman, which I think speaks to how I actually feel about the Moleman. Yeah. It's just like, he's just there. He moves the plot forward, and then
he's no dinosaur head, man. I'll tell you that.
No, if we had a different bounty hunter and Moleman was dinosaur bounty hunter instead, I'd be all over this. I'd be like, remember that Tyrannosaurus Rex who drove them to the gate? That dude was sick.
Yeah.
But Moleman, a.k.a. Zach Braff, a.k.a. Freck, he's fine.
It's funny that the Moleman is driving, as that's a visual task, you would think. But anyway.
Well, he's not an actual mole. He's a space mole, so their vision's different from Earth moles.
Okay. That's fair.
Get it right.
I don't have any idea what that nose is up to.
Yeah, why don't you do some research on the Molemen of Mapuzo and see what their vision is like.
Now that's a Star Wars story.
We can write up that Wikipedia entry later. Yeah. Molemen from Mapuzo famously have the best eyesight in all of the Star Wars galaxy.
Oh, damn.
And are excellent and safe drivers. So he seems friendly. So they take the lead, or they give the "we're farmers from Tall" story. We were going on a trip and we got lost in the field. To which I do love this Moleman reply. That's a weird story. Yeah. Which it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird that Obi-Wan is just completely incompetent. He is, this whole episode, he's just like, I'm terrified, starting with, Master, he's coming. He's just...
Yeah. It's, I do want to see him level up. You know what I mean? Because we were talking last time about, like, he's like a crusty old relic of the Force who's out of practice, right? This is not the negotiator Obi-Wan Kenobi that we know and love. This is the hermit who's been shut off from the Force. He makes some slips and some boo-boos on this particular journey. So as they're getting their ride to the nearest port from Zach Braff, the Moleman, of Malpuso. They pick up some stormtroopers who were waiting for their transport, so danger. We're picking that up a little bit. They're moving us around. The stormtroopers say, looking for a Jedi. You see anyone around here that might look like a Jedi, might have a cloak of some kind?
Yeah, this is
definite
weird.
Jedi look. But again, stormtroopers. So then they start getting into kind of the questions. They're questioning
How many people
Obi-Wan.
are just walking around? And I don't understand, because we see maybe like 2 civilians and 80 stormtroopers. You definitely do a pat down to anyone you saw out there, right? You're looking for Jedi? I won't get hung up on it. This is another point where I'm like, what? Why are we doing this?
Adam, I love you, but you're making a terrible mistake trying to understand some of the decisions that are made here. Don't do it. Turn around. Go back. Things are not going to work out.
Yeah.
This is not going to end the way you think. It's classic stormtroopers who misfire on every shot they take.
Uh-huh.
All they'd have to do would be do a pat down and be like, is that a lightsaber or is your penis erect? Sorry, that was a crass joke. And I apologize. It's early. He would say it's a lightsaber. I'm the Jedi you're looking for.
Yeah.
But they get into this whole story about, like, this was her mother's home planet. She's dead. We came back to visit. Turns out her name was Leia because I just called this little girl Leia, and that was not the name I just gave you. Oops, I'm so sorry. I get confused. And they're like, all right, you get confused. Fine. You're traumatized. It's fine. And then they hop off, and they're none the wiser.
Yeah.
Which, okay, the journey continues for our little transport we've got here. Yep. And then we get to the. Oh, I want to mention this. We talk about after they've exited the ship. Leia, it seems like she does a little force read because she's getting good at this. She says, do you get this sense?
Yeah.
Okay. You knew her, my real mother, didn't you? She asks, are you my real father? To which he replies, I wish I could say I was, but no,
meaning
I'm not.
Obi-Wan wishes he would have hooked up with Padme. That's what
Obviously,
we're doing for there.
The sexual chemistry between him and Padme was like off the charts, and it made way more sense compared to the whiny baby boy that she went with in Anakin. But, whatever. We move on. We move on from that. We get Obi talking about his family in response to this. So we talk about, his mom, his dad, baby brother Obi-Wan Kenobi, who's out there somewhere possibly, which is kind of an interesting little
season 2
canon tidbit. Yeah, who knows if the
go find my bro.
Ma and Pa Kenobi are going to show up, or if baby brother Kenobi will be out there at some point.
This is one of the more interesting points of the episode for me, for sure. But before I forget, I really want to point out, last episode of our podcast, I talked about how I made a deal about how the show is sometimes a little more subtle than Star Wars. And it may have seemed silly because I pointed out those lightsaber marks cut into the wall, which are very clearly like pointed to, like they're not hidden. Yeah. But I was like, that's a little bit better than Star Wars can be. And what I mean is when that stormtrooper truck, or when the truck they get on pulls away, or they go to the back and there's the Imperial logo on the back, and they do a long zoom in on it's an Imperial truck. That's what I mean. I mean that, like, I hate that kind of stuff. And they really fixate on there's an Imperial logo on this truck. On this planet where all we've seen is stormtroopers. Anyway, just a complaint. Sorry.
You gotta complain if you gotta complain. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
That's how you feel. We're not telling you to hide your feelings. Share them.
We're not Jedi.
No. We can have feelings.
Bury them down deep.
We're allowed to have attachments. So our journey reaches its next waypoint as we land at the inspection gate, laser gate, with some more stormtroopies who are Freck says it's a standard inspection, but I picked these guys up and I think you might want to check them out because it's weird. They have them step out of the vehicle and they're going to initiate Protocol 23. Again, Wikipedia Protocol 23 if you want to know what that is. Which I guess might have something to do with the probe droid that enters, because the probe droid comes in. We're going to get a scan of Obi's face. And then he blasts him. He shoots that probe droid out of the sky.
Yeah.
He takes out those stormtroopers. He does that sweet over-the-shoulder disarm blast move that we saw in some of the promotional footage that we've got there. And as Leia is being held captive by the last of those stormtroopers, blasts them. We also get a stormtrooper falling and being cut in half by the gate.
That was cool.
Maybe the most violent stormtrooper death that's like visualized, I think, also, that we see.
It's like, man, that is an interesting way to take your gate. It's that if you accidentally tap it, it's just going to smelt right through whatever. It's a heck of a thing. But yes.
Listen, boss, I'm happy to serve the Empire, but I'm pretty clumsy. I cannot work this gate.
I can't be next to that.
I cannot do this. I've got a tripping problem sometimes, and I could just shear my head right off.
I love it that maybe the construction crew comes over all the time to use it as a saw.
Obi-Wan saw that and was like, I could cut that fish 10 times as fast with this thing. So we get that little interaction, and then after he's disposed of that initial group of stormtroopers, we've got another transport coming up. 3 more stormtroopers and an Imperial officer. He's cornered. He's surrounded. I kind of don't know why he gives up after having just washed those other stormtroopers at like 3 more. He's suddenly like, okay, fine, I give up. But they get blasted by the Imperial officer. Twist. She's one of the good guys. And she is going to take them the rest of the way. So we've got some help that has arrived for our heroes here. And then we're going to go back to the 5th brother, who has already informed Lord Vader of the probe droid that has been shot on Mapuzo by Obi-Wan. The 3rd sister says, you know what? Take all the credit, but in the end, we know who will be by his side. Interesting. Okay. Wants to get close to Vader. Interesting. Our rebel incel tells Obi that she can get him to the port. There's a pilot who can take them out and is going to lead them to a safe house where we meet Ned-B, a loader droid, the strong but silent type.
Yep. Strong droid here.
Yes. Our still nameless Imperial officer tells Obi that there are other safe houses like this one. It's called The Path, and it all leads to Jabim.
I do not.
And he's not the first Jedi to come through.
I do not like.
You don't like a lot about this. What's going on, AB?
Well, this episode feels a lot like episode 3 of Boba Fett did to me, where I'm like, uh-oh. And I don't know, like, I like Order 66 and some Jedi escaping, but making it like, hey, we have the underground railroad, but for white people, like, it's really, I don't know. I don't like this at all. I don't like, it's the underground railroad, but for Jedi, you guys are just everywhere like flies, we help all these force sensitive people through. And the place we chose to do it is inhabited only by Imperials on an industrial planet. And every time I get someone through, I got to dress up like an Imperial officer and then maybe murder some stormtroopers. Like, I don't know. I don't like this setup. Make it a one-off thing, not a bunch of safe houses.
Not a fan of The Path.
No, I'm not.
Noted.
What about you? How do you feel? Do you have any kind of reaction to it?
Nah, not really. No. It certainly doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't necessarily bother me. It all just feels like plot to move us to the next thing.
Yeah, a lot of this episode feels like that.
Which is it's literally how this episode feels. Is like we're literally taking a ride to get from A to B, right? Like we're just moving location, and it feels like we're just moving to where we're about to get with this episode. Early spoilers, where Vader is going to come in, and have his moment of showing what a real Inquisitor does. But it does very little for me either way. It's not like I dislike it. I'm just like let's keep going. I think the only interesting kind of like nugget that exists in this is that we get the reveal that Quinlan Vos has been here. Yeah. So we've got a Jedi Master Quinlan Vos, who's got that great arc with Obi-Wan where they go to Nalhutta when they're doing the Zero the Hutt episode in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, been a long time since I saw that.
Cad Bane.
Yeah.
So he's got a history with Obi-Wan. And I was looking up a little bit because, like, Quinlan Vos, I remembered the name, and I was like, oh, yeah, he's got that episode. And I don't know how much of his stuff is still canon, but there's a whole, like, he was Dooku's apprentice for a little bit and was in love with Asajj and came back to the light side because of his love for Asajj. Very wild stuff. I'm not sure if that's legacy, if it's canon, but I think they had, like, a novel where it got into kind of him. Interesting, his character design for Clone Wars was based off of a background character that exists in Phantom Menace, who sees Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, or who sees Qui-Gon meet Anakin for the first time. So his entire thing is like he's a Force sensitive who can like read the past by touching inanimate objects.
Okay, like Cal, Kestis.
Yeah, so he's got that ability, and so he's like a master tracker essentially, and he's like given the special missions that are more like, hey, you got to go into the underworld and break some rules and do that kind of stuff. So that's kind of his niche in the Jedi story. So it's interesting that he's still out there. I'm not sure if that is going to pay off.
You imagine he's going to show up somewhere at some point, or Disney's just sprinkling some salt they can snuff later.
Yeah, so it's canon now that he's alive at least, which I think was unconfirmed. So now we know, hey, Quinlan Vos is out there. As our other Force-sensitive people are, again, still nameless Imperial officer says, there's a lot of good people risking their lives out there, including me. But she said Quinlan was here. He helps now and again smuggling younglings. We get the troopers knocking on the safe house for a routine check. So our heroes are kind of stowed away in the next room. Ned-B doesn't say a word. But he's ready with that hammer because actions speak louder than words. They leave without further investigation because, Ned-B doesn't say anything.
I would be terrified of Ned-B, let me tell you. That stormtrooper is like staring him down. It's like, man, he could crush your windpipe, Mr. Stormtrooper.
I thought I was about to sneeze so hard right just then.
What a letdown.
I was like, please keep talking so I can try to hide it.
I thought you were trying to cut me off to be like, I got it.
No, I was like, keep going. I'm about to make a noise. No, but we're good. Moment has passed. Yeah, so Ned-B hangs tight, holds firm, and was ready to hammer some domes.
Yeah.
So good for you, Ned-B. They have been compromised. We've got to move the timeline up. Leia asks about learning to shoot from our still nameless Imperial officer. And she says she'll make a good fighter one day.
Man, this is condensed stuff, man.
Yes,
this conversation.
I think you might be right. Because she's got the Force and is going to be really good at all this stuff. Because a lot of this seems like he is sensing her Force ability, too.
Yeah.
And knowing what that means for her, especially now, and going forward, because we know that Leia's not going to do the Jedi training path that her brother does. But she will eventually get there, just a little later in life, which is nice. We finally get our Imperial officer's name as she introduces herself as Tala to Obi-Wan, and he says, No. Just Ben. They prepare to enter a tunnel. Obi-Wan has a panic attack. It's a flashback to when they were walking earlier, and he saw Hayden Christensen standing in the desert. What's going on? Darth Vader's here! Menacing shots as Vader walks the streets of Mapuso. It seems like Vader has sensed something. He force grabs a bystander and then snaps someone else's neck. Seems like maybe like trying to draw Obi-Wan out to be the protector, but Obi-Wan's like, I ain't saving nobody.
no, Obi-Wan's scared.
I'm not ready for this. So he tells Tala to take Leia to Alderaan. He'll try to buy them time
for
to
a
get
second,
out.
I'm thinking, oh, cool. This is going to, let's get rid of Leia for the rest of the show. Let's be done with this mission and go who knows where. I was excited for a second.
Your hatred for children continues.
Again, I don't hate children. Do I enjoy watching children act in this episode? Not much. I'll say that. I think she's doing a great job. Again, it feels like Leia. I don't have a problem with the actor or the choice to have her in the show. But I was thinking we'd be better off if we send her off to Alderaan and let Obi-Wan be on his own for a while. So I want to see some actions and less words.
I don't even mind if it's not action, but it's more like adults dealing with adult problems. But again, Star Wars is for children, so I get it. And they want to appeal to as broad of an audience with the most popular character who's had the biggest Disney Plus premiere in their history. So, what do I know? That's my selfish want for the series. They know what they want, which is Disney dollars. What I want is maybe a little bit different than that.
Yeah.
But he tells them take Leia away. He tells Tala, whose name we now know. He says, Tala, take her to Alderaan. I'll try to buy you time so you can get out. Obi-Wan takes off into the dark night of Mapuso. He's wandering around the volume that's poorly lit. And then we get Vader's lightsaber igniting. That beautiful red glow, and Obi draws out his saber and runs away.
I disagree. I don't think this is on the volume. I think this is all, actually on just a big, whatever this mining factory is, or this like processing factory is. I think this is we get some like far away shots where they're clearly using force effects out here. I think this is a real place. I could be wrong.
You think it's location shooting in Mapuso?
Yeah, okay. I think so. At least for this part of it, but Obi-Wan runs away, and it's pretty comical looking runaway.
He runs away, and then Vader says, "You cannot run, Obi-Wan," and Obi-Wan's like, "Yes, I can."
Your robo legs aren't too fast, Mr. Vader. Does not use force speed.
Nope, doesn't need it. Doesn't force jump. Doesn't do anything. You cannot run, Obi-Wan. Just as he's saying that, boom, we get the blue lightsaber igniting.
Yeah.
That's
the fear.
It's happened, yeah.
Which I like that misdirect. I like that we finally get it, and it is just out of terror. And clumsy.
He's like, I will fight you with this. Vader emerges from the dark. We see his LEDs approaching in the night. Obi-Wan says, "What have you become? I am what you made me." And then Obi-Wan runs away again. Reva approaches the safe house. So we see that other location, our new story B, happening. And Leia tells Tala that she says, "Tala, you got to go help Obi-Wan. I can make it on my own.
Yeah,
I'm 10. Fine. I'm 10 years old.
But screw you.
That Jedi Knight needs some help." The Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi needs help. And she's actually right, because he's totally washed right now.
Yep.
But is, spoiler, ultimately her decision is going to prove to be poor, I would say. Obi continues walking in the dark. Vader's saber ignites, and Obi, boom, he's right there for a parry. He says, "The years have made you weak." They engage in a little bit of saber combat. Nothing too fancy, nothing too special. Mostly like life-saving maneuvers.
Feels like old school lightsaber fighting too. They feel heavy.
Very much. It feels very heavy indeed. Yeah. Reva finds the tunnel that Tala and Leia were escaping through. So that's again story B that's going on there. Vader says, "You should have killed me when you had the chance." And he's like, "I cut off your arm and your legs, and I left you burning on the shores of Mustafar. I thought I did." Turns out he didn't. So after we get that little bit of fighting, Obi runs away again. Vader catches him. He force chokes him in the air. Obi-Wan drops his lightsaber. Vader then kind of spills a substance on the ground and ignites it into a flaming fire that brings us back in our minds to the shores of Mustafar.
Here they go
"Now
again.
You will suffer, Obi-Wan."
Here's again. They totally lose me when he throws out the fire. I'm like, this is really stupid. And then he smashes his face into the fire, and I'm like, oh, I like it.
Oh. So you like the fire. See? You came around on it.
Yeah, didn't like the fire, then I like the fire. I also wondered, is this how we're going to age up Obi-Wan? Are they going to pull a Palpatine in this moment? And he comes out looking like Alec Guinness?
He's traumatized and his hair is just white. Yeah. That'd be so sick if they made that choice. I don't think they will, but if they did, I would respect it. So he drags Obi-Wan through the fire. He says, your pain has just begun. Kind of feels like he's just torturing him. And that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to kill him. He wants to make him feel some pain. Because, it's Obi-Wan's fault that he lost his wife, the kids that he doesn't know about, that he's evil now, that he's got to live in a tank most of the time,
that he's got a 9 to 5. Too small.
He's just got a 9 to 5 of like hunting Jedi down and stuff, and his benefits aren't even as good as the Grand Inquisitors.
That's true. Yeah.
They say you don't have dental vision because you've got a bacta tank, so you're fine. So he's toying with him. The fire is put out. Bring him to me. A lone stormtrooper approaches and is blasted by Tala. She shoots him down and then she reignites the fire. And then in what I have said is one of the great closed captioning performances in the history of mankind, we get some real bangers that are going to do some heavy lifting. I'm a closed caption man. I like reading just because I'm getting older, and it helps me. So some of the great ADR lines that are like, hey, why aren't we just going around or through the fire? You get lines like, I can't see a thing. Advance. I can't get through. I can't see anything. There's no way around. All lines.
Which also was funny when Obi-Wan shot that laser gate earlier, when there was clearly a way just to step around the laser gate.
You just go behind it. That's fine. He didn't want anyone else to get chopped in half.
That's true.
Because he saw how that works. Yeah. As the stormtroopers and Vader stand there, that this impenetrable fire is between them, Ned-B comes in and saves Obi-Wan, snatches him out. Tala tells Ned-B to ready the transport because we got to go to Jabeam. We'll see you in part 4, Jabeam. And at the very end of the episode, we've got Reva greeting Leia at the end of the tunnel. Pilot on the ground. I'll take you from here. End of episode.
There we go.
There it is. That's part 3. Sorry, end of part 3.
Wow. What a
overall
trip.
So, sounds like a little up and down for you.
Yeah, for sure. I would say this definitely makes me less optimistic about the show in general. There's some content in here that I think is stinky. I think it's not very, very good. I think, like most things Star Wars, I could cut out 10 minutes and make it better, I think, But what about you, BC?
I'm largely the same. It doesn't hold. It doesn't hold up to part 1 for me.
Yeah,
which I think is not unlike the part 2. I think was probably my favorite Book of Boba Fett episode. But I like the part 1 and 2 that we had.
Yeah.
But part 1 in particular, because it is a slow burn setup. I'm of the age now where I'm like, just let me rest in some character beats and some moments of like trauma and pain for these characters.
Yeah.
And then Disney's like, this is Star Wars, idiot. We got to move some stuff. We got to have some action. I'm like, fine. I get it. But it is those small beats that I really enjoy that are more like character driven as opposed to like plot driven.
Yeah.
Because the plot feels very heavy in some of these points where it's like, okay, now we're on the ship. Now there's stormtroopers on the ship. Now we're at a gate. And now there's more stormtroopers at the gate. And now we're with more stormtroopers. And now we're going to the safe house. And now we're going, like, it just felt like, okay, we're plodding along. We're getting there. We're moving the story forward. But none of that is as engaging to me as moments when Obi-Wan's like talking about the glimpses that he has of his family, things that he can remember. the things where it's like he's still trying to reach out to Qui-Gon. He's still trying to figure out kind of where he is in the Force as he's, pardon the reference, the Force is being awoken in him again. You know what I mean? Yeah. As he's sort of reconnecting to everything. I think that is much more interesting to me than kind of the plot of, oh, we've got to save
I mean, I don't even know that you can call it plot here because it's just point A to point B. You know, it's just like a continuation of the chase.
I will say, really excited about the thought of like, oh, we can get Leia off the board and get her safe. Like he did the job, and she got safe. But no, we're gonna continue her danger. It's like and I know part of the Kenobi, like the great rewrite that happened was I feel like it was so similar initially to what Mandalorian was doing, which is, you know, the father and the son, the Innocente sort of protector plotline. And we still largely are getting that story. It's marginally different because it's Obi-Wan and he's a Jedi, but they do feel very much the same in that we've got the Empire hunting a child. You know what I mean? At this point, even if Kenobi's the main figure, the child is the bait in this case. So it's like the importance in Mandalorian is not the Mandalorian. It's not the protector. It's what he's protecting. In this one, it's the person who's doing the protecting that's of more interest to the Empire. Doesn't feel different enough to me because the child is the one who's still in danger in this. Yeah. And we purposefully keep her in danger at the end of the episode by putting her with Reva. Now, maybe that twist, maybe we get a little bit of a turn with Reva. Yeah. I don't know, because it seems like something's going to happen with her. Yeah. It seems like she's got the big twist in the series.
For sure, up. Yeah.
Because the more I've listened to other people talk about it, and the more thinking about the opening of part 1, it seems like she was probably one of those.
Oh, there's no way. I mean, the show opens with her face. Like, the camera comes out of the city onto her face. Yeah, there's no way.
So it's her. Yeah, so it's her, and it's figuring out.
Does she want revenge? Motives. Does she want to rescue somebody? Is she basically deep undercover? Is she, you know,
like does she want to take that shot at Anakin because she saw some stuff on Order 66 that was like, oh, Anakin Skywalker, our former teacher, came in and just started chopping up 8-year-olds. Yeah. And I had to get out of there, and it's like, is it her taking her chance to get close to Vader so she can have revenge at him? Yeah. I think that's definitely a theory that could be floated if we're doing theory corner, you know, if we're floating potential ideas. Yeah. Is it something that maybe she is like a highly placed kind of, you know, another person in the network who's out there risking her lives to help people? You know, we did see her just chop off an innocent person's hand and throw a knife at someone's face. So, like, I'm not sure how, like, good she is at this point. But it feels like she has a big kind of twist coming up. Her motives might
align with Obi-Wan's at some point, I guess is where I'll put it. Regardless of whether she's good or not. I foresee that's going to be a thing. I don't think they're going to fight to the death. I think they're going to, you know, be in concert at some point somehow.
I mean, she's, and this has been pointed out too, she's one of the few people who knows that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader. Yeah. Which is no small thing at this point, because that's not being broadcast, you know, on the news or anything. Former Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker, now dressed in black, parading as Darth Vader. So she's got a pretty big bit of knowledge that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah, and here in 10 years, nobody's going to know what the heck a Jedi is or was. But currently, they're scrambling everywhere. We got to get these Force-sensitive children out.
Yeah, you got to smush them like bugs. Yeah, they're running wild. They're all over the place.
I took a few notes last night of BC to see if I had anything that was worth mentioning. I like how bad Ewan McGregor thinks bad acting is. Like, Obi-Wan is a terrible actor, and I feel like this is a method to boost, you know, an actor's acting skill, is when you play a bad actor, you play him real bad.
Here's my direction. You're acting. You know, you're acting and you're not good at it. And Obi-Wan's not an actor. It's like,
but is he competent?
Part of my problem with this, and I think you mentioned it earlier as we were talking, is like he's so incompetent that it doesn't track to even like the last episode where I felt we were getting like Attack of the Clones, Detective Obi-Wan going on, where it's like, no, the dude still can like drop into that. We just saw him do it. No, I'm not sure if it's, and it may be thrown off because at that point he didn't have the bomb dropped on him that Anakin is still alive, and that seemed to have completely turned his world upside down at the end of that episode, where he's like, oh, for 10 years, I thought that dude was dead.
Yeah.
And he's alive. So maybe that has something to do with him, like, knocking him off of his mojo. It just isn't clear that that's what's going on. I mean, we do open the episode with sort of like, you know, he's coming. There's the fear that's kind of, you feel kind of seeping into him. But it just doesn't... And I don't know how much I'm trying to square this with what we know of like Obi-Wan in the past, of being like Jedi Master, baller, amazing, can handle any situation, can jump into any bit of danger and just ready to go. Where now it's like we're dropping him 10 years later and he's like, I gotta just run away and people are gonna die because I can't do anything.
Yeah.
It feels like we have to, by the end of this series, evolve him back up to a Jedi who's gonna not just ignite his lightsaber in fear, but is gonna be like, I'll ignite this and I'm gonna take you on confidently. None of that's there, but it felt like there was some there in episode 2. So the continuity to episode 3, where he's just like, I slipped on the name and I'm just gonna run away in these instances. Some of those beats just felt a little jarring.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a bummer though too, because I feel like now I see that's the only place we're going is from bad at lightsaber fighting to good at lightsaber fighting Vader. Where for a second when they're meeting in this episode, I'm like, oh, what if this is the end of the Vader stuff? This is the end of the Leia stuff. Who knows where we're going? The sky's wide open. And instead I come away at the end being like, okay, we're prepping for a lightsaber fight number 2. Like that's definitely where the climax is and is going.
We're going to get lightsaber fight number 2. He's going to have his meeting with Qui-Gon. I'm predicting part 5, penultimate episode. Qui-Gon's going to help him rediscover something, level back up, get ready to fight in the finale.
Yeah. Yeah, some other of my notes here. I think one of my biggest disappointments with Disney Star Wars can be, and I guess just TV in general, like all television right now, I hate how clean costumes are. I hate that they're never distressed. It's like everyone just bought their clothes. No matter their social circumstances, nobody's got dirt on their clothes. I guess it's hard to photograph in the volume, or like, I don't know.
What about those stormtroopers?
Yeah, the stormtroopers, well, we got some scene painting on the stormtrooper armor. Mm-hmm. They're a little dusty, but yeah, I guess that's true. But yeah, everybody's just looking sharp and like their clothes just came out of the press. And then I don't know. I guess my big thing is just like, here we have what I feel like is a filler episode, and where we have so little episodes to have. And
I wonder. It doesn't seem like a great use of the time, the limited time that we have with this. Where not to harp too much on the Moleman's journey that exists in this episode, but did we really need like 2 stops with troopers and 2 investigations with troopers? Like, cut some of that out.
Yeah.
Just get to the gate and do it at the gate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, have the Moleman ask some questions of them that they have to answer. Because, I mean, he asks a few questions, but like they get interrogated more when he picks up some stormtroopers, and so we get some more kind of exposition-y details there. But it's like, just have the Moleman do it. Because when he gets to the gate, he's going to be like, yeah, there's some suspicious people that I picked up whose story isn't quite adding up. We're here with stormtroopers. Like, let's just move some of that along. I think that goes to kind of the editing point a little bit that you were making, but also probably the writing too, where it's like, let's consolidate some of this if the point is just to go from here to there.
I got to shout out Normies Like Us, the podcast. I was listening to their episode, great episode on the opening of Obi-Wan here, and something I did not agree with. It's one of the hosts, Jacob, was saying, man, they really should have just made this a movie. I don't like that it's TV. They should. I just rather have a bigger production budget condensed. And I was thinking, no, I want as many hours of Obi-Wan as I can get. Like, I want you to stretch it out. And then, watching this episode, I was like, nah, maybe. I don't know. This is where I'm feeling it. It really feels like TV. And tonally, it feels like Blue's Clues is getting smashed into like Pulp Fiction. Like it's kind of jarring. So yeah, I didn't hate the episode. Let me make that clear.
No.
I immediately watched it again the moment it was over. And still all those moments I love. I'm like, ooh, it's Anakin. Ooh.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it doesn't land 100% for me. And it definitely wasn't like, I wasn't riding the same high as I was riding last Friday, whenever the first two were released, where I was like, yeah, it's amazing. Now I'm like, it's still good, but I've got some notes. But I will say that I think I agree with the movie point. Like there is something about the TV shows that the production design, it's all top of the line, right? That everything they're doing, they're clearly spending a lot of money. However, if you look at something like Rogue One, right? A more recent Star Wars movie where they're like, yeah, sure, we'll spend money on movies. Before Solo came in, they're like, nah, we're not going to spend money on movies anymore. This is one that I do feel like give us a movie at some point where we can just have big sets, big budget, the fidelity, the lighting, everything looks top notch, because it feels like when you're doing 6 parts, 6 episodes, whatever, that there's it's almost like a squeeze that's put on the time in the production, where it's like, we have to get to the next one. Like, we only have X amount of time with this. If it's a big budget movie, we're telling a 2-hour story, and we've got, 3 months, 6 months to shoot it. We can adjust on the
fly which we're going to spend more time on or not of this.
Yeah. So it's a general note for me where it's like, I love that we're getting Star Wars stuff. I'm not going to complain that we're getting Star Wars TV shows. There is a part of me that does miss the visual look of Star Wars movies, right? Because we do have a direct comparison that we can draw between the look of these worlds, where it's like, oh yeah, there is something about those movies that looks and feels different, bigger, in general. And I don't know how much of this was shot in the volume, but I am starting to have like volume fatigue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, we get that you have this amazing piece of technology. We know that it works, but now I'm growing accustomed to being like, that's in the volume, because you can only go so far, right? You can only set up shots in so many ways in the volume. So I think there's just kind of
when Vader is walking into the town and he's got these big boots on, and you're like, that dirt is that is a thin layer of dirt on top of a hard surface. And it's like, if you're on location, maybe you don't have that problem. And I mean, we got out in the Los Angeles desert. I do think they were at that facility. We got some stuff out there, but what the volume does really well is like present things in the distance, right? Like when we've got the bar and you can see the whole town moving, and there's lots of extras in this show, which I like. But something Joe mentioned on Normies Like Us is like, the reason why Star Wars looks like a theme park now is because they want you to feel like you're in Star Wars when you go to the theme park, when you go to Disneyland. It's like, yeah, all the walls are clean. Like, there's just a certain, there's not a density of production design that there used to be, where it's like, RU's future just has everything crammed in here. This is much more like 3 scene pieces on top of the background,
which I think, to the point of television and even the writing of it, maybe the reason we have a lot of Zach Braff's Moleman transport is because we can just stick that transport thing in the volume and move our story forward and not have to go anywhere, not have to do anything. We don't have to go to the California desert to shoot them sitting in the truck with the background being shot, because we've already got the footage, and we can just beam that in to the volume, and we can have a third of the episode take place for, $10-12 in set costs to handle that. So hey, we'll write it in one location. It's the back of this transport ship, and we can move the plot forward, and then we'll cut to the desert when we need our exteriors when they're out of this thing. So just thinking about that, it's like that's the kind of stuff to me. It's like, oh, that's a production constraint that they have.
Yeah, I think you're right. So yeah, I mean, you summarized it pretty well. Not riding the high that I was, but still enjoyed myself. Still looking forward to more of this show, obviously.
I mean, I'm very much excited about the fact that at the very least, Obi-Wan isn't with Leia.
Yeah, for the moment.
To see what that yields. Because that's going to be a whole other can of worms that we're going to have to deal with. So, she'll be palling around with Reva, it seems like, in the next episode, and Obi-Wan's going to Jabeam, the end of the path.
Yeah, maybe she turns into a little dark Jedi and then just gets her memory erased at the end of the series.
That's a real Rise of Skywalker swing that I can get behind.
Well, BC, I guess that's about it. I don't have anything else here. That's it. That's all I got.
That's the end. That's the end of the episode. Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, check us out on all the social media. Check us out on the platforms. We're very glad to have you here in the cargo bay. Unless you're a racist, get the hell out.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Adios to you.
But yeah, thanks again for joining us. We'll be back later this week with some hobby talk about Star Wars Topps trading cards and other Star Wars business, and then we'll be back day of when the next episode drops for another Obi-Wan episode. Is that right, BC? Or might we be a little off schedule next week?
I will be on vacation at the beach, but I am more than happy to bring my at least a portion of my equipment with me, so we can record a reaction on Wednesday.
Nice.
But I will be on location from my beach house.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's pretty rad. Well, I hope you have a lovely vacation out there, BC.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us in the cargo bay. We'll catch you next time. Oh, bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.